I wish I knew about this back in 2016.
I think you have a passion for it, you put all your heart and soul into, you can make work.
They don't know you. Like, you could just run off with the cash. Is
you
that
have
what
to have
it was?
a little bit of crazy in you to do any of this.
Welcome back to the Sky's Limit podcast with Mike and Ryan. Today, I am super pumped. We have Camille Hudson. She is crushing it. She's a serial entrepreneur. She is an agent, investor, and she owns Warehouse 635, an awesome business I can't wait to dig into.
Today, I think it's going to be a great episode. Every time I hear Warehouse 635, I want to say, like, oh, Warehouse 365. But yeah, really curious to see what that's all about. I know it's an event space, so I think she hosts a lot of different corporate events there, maybe weddings, baby showers, banquets. She's a real estate agent, so I'll definitely talk to her about that, hear how that's going for her.
Corporate dropout.
Corporate dropout.
Can't wait to dig into that.
Yeah. I wanted to say college dropout. She's like, it's not a college dropout. Like, not a college dropout.
She's like, my mom's going to think I didn't go to school for 4 years.
Corporate dropout, which we all are. Technically.
I know.
I quit my full-time job in 2021, March of 2021 during COVID, and you were shortly right after.
Last year,
so,
end of 2022.
yeah, I'm pretty pumped. It'll be a great episode. Excited to share it on YouTube. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok now, thanks to our producers.
TikTok. Catch us.
Facebook, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I mean,
where are we not? I
guess that's the goal, right? To be everywhere. So
LinkedIn. Do we say LinkedIn? We're on LinkedIn.
We're on LinkedIn. Yeah, we're on LinkedIn.
Got it.
I guess with that, let's bring Camille on. Camille, welcome. Thank you for coming on as a guest today. Really appreciate your time. I want to hear your story. How'd you get started in real estate investing? You're an owner, a serial entrepreneur of many things, we'll say. I'll let you get into it, but I want to hear your story.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me today. I started real estate investing in 2016. Knowing absolutely nothing, similar to a lot of people. I used to watch a lot of HGTV, which I'm sure, as you all know, has nothing to do with anything when it comes to real estate investing. Absolutely nothing. But I started in 2016. It's something that I've always been passionate about and always wanted to do. Luckily, I was able to find a realtor who was very helpful in guiding me through the process. But aside from that, because she was not an investor, it kind of started and stopped at, finding the house. So she was able to help me find a really good house. I met with a lot of different contractors. I knew, let's get 3 quotes at the very minimum.
Yep.
But where I fell short was that I wasn't very specific on what I wanted to do. So starting out was a bit of a challenge in that, I didn't really have anyone to ask questions to. So I found a contractor. I did the first mistake and took the cheapest one.
Yep,
I was like, ooh, I can make a lot more. So
Yep.
I took the cheapest one. And then in describing what I wanted done, I was just very broad. Said, I want the kitchen done. I want the bathroom done. I wasn't very specific on what exactly needed to get done. So when I got my estimate, it actually only included the carpentry. No electrical, no plumbing. And I didn't realize that until after signing the contract and getting into the project. So my budget quickly doubled in my first project.
So what were you doing? Were you flipping a single family home, a multifamily? What was your end goal? Were you going to do a cash out refinance at the end? What was?
So it was a flip. It was a single family flip. I bought it for about $88,000, back in those good days.
In 2016?
In 2016.
Love it.
I mean, that doesn't happen anymore, right?
And whereabouts was this?
In Manchester.
Manchester,
Yeah, my
Connecticut.
first 3 flips were all in Manchester.
Good for you.
And I was planning, and probably when I say this, you're going to laugh. The quote was about $15,000.
For the
So
work?
like,
for the whole thing?
You bought it for 88 and 15.
Don't judge me.
That would be a good payday.
That's solid. That's solid.
So I was like, oh, yes, let's do this. And yeah, it was $15,000 for the carpentry. I still had to buy my own material, which I knew going into it. But it was the electrical, the plumbing, et cetera, that I did not account for. And that was another $15,000. So my budget ended up being $30,000. Thankfully, I was able to still walk away from that project with money in my pocket, but it was a lot of headache. I mean, the contractor, he had a team of people that he sort of subbed it out to. Yep. That I'm going to say were on the D list.
Gotcha.
A lot of the stuff they did was wrong. They took a wall out. They didn't put any supporting beam at all. Wow. So it didn't pass inspection. They installed every single window incorrectly. Had to have those all redone. So I actually found another contractor halfway through. I ended up firing that original contractor, got another one through the realtor that I was working with at the time. And thankfully, I was able to successfully complete that project.
Wow, that's
So you
unreal.
bought it for $88,000. How did you finance it?
I actually used a hard money lender. So that was my other obstacle. It took me probably about a year to find a hard money lender that wanted to work with someone with zero experience.
Yeah.
So I started this in 2015. I actually found the hard money lender through a mortgage broker. He was able to pull my credit, do everything that a normal mortgage broker would do, and then shop it around to hard money lenders that he knew. And he was able to sort of, be my advocate knowing my background. So I found a local hard money lender in West Hartford.
Perfect.
You guys probably know who he is. I won't say who.
All right.
And he worked with me probably up until about a year because I haven't done a flip in about a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I assume you had to put anywhere from 10 to 20% down on
Like
that?
closer to 20.
25%
Right.
down.
No
Wow. 'Cause
experience.
no experience, right.
Zero experience. It was 6 points.
6 points?
6
That is
points.
robbery.
Whoa, that's gouging.
Holy, it's like Johnny down the street.
It
Oh,
was
Jesus
6
Christ.
points.
Is your credit okay? Like you
My
don't-
credit was fine.
No
I had
kidding.
zero experience and I didn't have anyone else to go to. So I was like, I'm just going to do it. It went down drastically
Yeah.
as I went through different projects.
Two
Yeah.
points is kind of the norm. I'd
2 to
say.
3. I mean, I do hard money, and I can do people with no experience at all. But like, and it depends on the purchase price. Because 88 is low is a low number, even like with the rehab. So like maybe that's where they were coming
That
from.
was it
but
too. So it was such a short period of time. Like I know when I do my projects, I want to be in and out within 5 months. That's purchase, renovation, put it on the market, sell it. 5 months tops. And so I can understand from the hard money lender's perspective, I mean, I'm not really going to make that much interest off of you.
Right.
So
What was the rate?
12%.
Okay, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
standard. So yeah, after the first couple, it did go down. I was putting 20% down and closer to, I would say project 8, project 9, I was at 10% down.
Good for you, yeah.
Yeah. So it changed over time. Building that relationship with someone makes a huge difference.
1,000%. So you bought for 88, you closed on it, you invested 30,000 in rehab, and did they fund 100% of the rehab?
So they did, no. So he takes the total amount, which is the purchase price and the rehab amount. And I was putting 25% down off
Gotcha.
of that total.
Yep.
He doesn't structure. I know a lot of hard money lenders that do it that way, which probably would have been better.
You don't
Yeah.
know what you
But
don't know.
you don't know what you don't know.
So 88 purchase, 30 rehab. What did you end up selling it for?
154.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good.
So,
For your
yeah,
first
great.
flip,
Good.
you
It was
learned a
good.
lot.
And
I
you
mean,
didn't lose money.
Yeah.
I didn't lose
Like,
money.
that's-
And here's the other thing. So I did take a class. It was like one of those weekend classes that came into Hartford. I'm pretty sure you guys know the company.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that they said was like over budget for certain things. So I was very conservative with my numbers. So that's the only way that it works still.
Good for you.
Knowing that my budget doubled.
So the class helped.
The class definitely helped.
Good,
It was a
good.
free class too. So.
Good ROI there.
Yeah, right?
That's
that was the
awesome.
biggest thing. And then the one thing I did not do that I learned in the class that I did going forward was having a scope of work document. Had I had that and gave it to the contractor, he would have known every little aspect of the project that I needed done. And I would have known going into it, okay, he doesn't do plumbing. He doesn't do electrical.
Right.
He doesn't do the important things.
So how many flips have you done since then?
9.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's been good.
All single families?
All single families, yeah.
Awesome. No, now you got your crew, you got your processes down, and you're cruising.
Yes. Well, so it took probably about 4 contractors to really settle on one that
Isn't that like the hardest
that's
part?
the hard, the money and the contractor.
And don't ever give his name out or her name out, whoever it is.
Like,
That's
why?
like gold. Hold
it's
on
like
to that.
I am not giving you up ever, but I did refer him out a lot though.
So that's the issue, which we found out. We have a
Then they
couple
get
good
busy.
contractors.
They
They
got
get busy, and then
busy.
they don't have time to do your jobs.
And that's
you're
what
like,
happened.
Man, I
That's what
got
happened.
you all these jobs. Come on.
That's what happened. I mean, he's an awesome contractor, but he did get busy, which is great.
Yeah.
Good for him.
But like
Yeah.
then that takes away from what I need to do.
Exactly.
It's so hard to find a good contractor.
It is.
What is up with them?
It's really hard. And one that I thought was going to be really good, it was actually a referral from the lender. This was 3 contractors in now. And he had a construction, like a master's in construction. He was like, I'm very A personality. And he was very similar. He, broke down the entire budget, like itemized, which a lot of contractors don't do. He has a spreadsheet and I'm a spreadsheet kind of girl. I was like, oh, we're going to work great. He subbed the entire project out to another contractor.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
After I signed the contract.
Damn.
So do you have any like, not to put you on the spot too much, but like, do you have any like tips to find a good contractor? You've been through a lot of bad ones. Like, is there anything that sticks out in your mind where it's like, okay, this and this is like what I look for and I need it in a good contractor?
I would say, well, number one, referrals definitely are good because you can see how they worked with other friends or family. But the questions that you need to ask, how communicative are they? Are they going to be able to respond to you when you call? Because I understand people get busy, but I just handed you over $10,000, $15,000. I can't tolerate no one answering my phone calls. Right. That doesn't work. So how communicative have they been throughout the project? Also, how do they break down the budget? Do I have to pay 50% up front, 50% at the end? Because that's not going to work for me either. I prefer to split it up in 3 sections. So we do, the initial deposit. Halfway, I'll see how the progress is. I'll give you a little bit more. And then you're not going to get the last payment until it's completely done.
Yeah. But I think it's important to share how they're going to get paid because with a lot of hard money lenders, I know you're doing hard money, you've used a lot of hard money. They only give you the rehab funds once the work has been completed. So that contractor or you have to put up front a lot of the costs and then you get reimbursed through a draw process, which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
What's interesting, my lender paid ahead.
No kidding. Really? That's
so
rare.
I never use my own money up
Good.
front.
Wow.
That might be worth the 6 points. That's worth the 6 points.
I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning.
So they upfronted you all the money?
Yeah. So
without any work being done?
Without any work being done. Like the day of the closing, when I'm purchasing a property, I get a check. That's my initial deposit to give to the contractor.
I've never heard of a hard money lender doing that.
I've heard of it, but it's
maybe
like
with a lot of experience, but like that was your
between.
first one at the time.
That was the first one, and it was like that for every single one. But when I look at my clients, like as a realtor looking at my investor clients, they're doing it in the manner that you're explaining, where they have to, front the money.
It's a draw process.
Someone comes out, they got to pay for someone to come out just to tell them it's okay so they can get their draw.
Damn.
Wow.
So I've never experienced that.
Yeah, that's rare. I mean, they don't really, like in their defense, like they don't know you. Like you could just run off with the cash.
Correct.
Wow.
I could.
But you
that's
didn't.
crazy.
I didn't.
So
and I wouldn't.
You've been flipping houses. Congratulations on all your success. You're also the owner of Warehouse 635.
Yes.
I didn't want to mess that up.
Not 365.
Not 365. I want to say 365 so bad. 635.
It's funny because I want to buy the website. And someone recently bought it.
Oh,
Warehouse
really?
365. Because I feel like everyone transposes it.
You could buy the domain off them if you.
Yeah, I could.
You can.
I just feel a certain way buying off somebody.
Tell us about what Warehouse 635 is, how you got into it, what's going on with it. I want to know. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so Warehouse 635 is an event venue in West Hartford, right off of New Park Ave. And it provides a space for people to rent it by the hour or by the day to host their own events. So whether it's a birthday party, baby shower, other, milestone event, all the way to, I've had a live podcast done there, fashion shows, pop-up shops, things of that nature. So it's awesome. A completely open space, blank canvas. It's all black and white. So it makes it easy to sort of go in there and put your own aesthetic in the space.
So I was on your site. Can they book right there on the site? How does it work?
So they can fill out the form right on the website, and it comes to me through a platform that I use, which is Honeybook, and I'll send out a contract for them to review and sign, and then they can make payment right online. So it is a pretty streamlined, convenient process for people to book.
So they can rent furniture from you and everything?
So I include tables, chairs, projector, Bluetooth speaker, and black linen with the rental. So anyone that rents the space will have that included. I do have additional furniture, which includes like high-top tables, high-top or counter stools that they can use if they want to add that to their event.
Wow. Did you have experience with renting out venues, or like were you ever a wedding planner in your?
How did you know this was going to work?
Yeah,
I think it's my biggest thing. Like,
I mean, it's a business venture that you just went into. Do you have partners with it, or?
So initially, I did have a partner. I ended up moving forward with the business beginning of this year by myself.
Nice, congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but as far as any background in event planning, wedding, no, not at all.
Did you just know there was a need for it?
I knew there was a need for it because I couldn't find a space. My best friend was having her baby shower, and it took us forever to find a space. Not only find a space, but find a space that allowed you to bring in your own food and alcohol. That was the harder part.
And you allow that in your venue.
And I allow it.
Is there like legalities you got to bridge with that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, so for nonprofits, they can get a temporary liquor permit through the town. BYOB is kind of,
BYOB.
And it's,
BYOB.
it's West Hartford nonetheless, which is
Strict.
a pretty tough
Yeah.
town to get approvals
Yeah,
through.
so I do try to, have them contact the town because I don't really have any control over the liquor side of things.
And they need event insurance, correct?
Absolutely. I do require them to have event insurance for every single event. I mean, I've canceled events the day of because they didn't get event insurance.
for you.
I'm not flexible with it at all.
Right.
So that protects them if someone gets injured. If they do have alcohol in the space, I have them add a host liquor liability rider. So that way, if there's any alcohol-related injuries, that's covered as well.
Good for you. That's
So
amazing.
this is, say I have a baby shower I want to do. I would contact you. I'd reach out to the website or call. And then if I want to do BYOB, I have to then, is there like a process you give people? Because this is all new. This is wild. So like you can just get insurance the day of. Really?
I did that for my wedding.
No shit.
Wedding insurance. You go on. It's
Same
very
thing,
simple.
yeah.
Very
Wedding
simple.
Right online.
I'm getting married.
You're going to need it.
I'm
You
getting
need
married
to get
next.
wedding
I'm
insurance.
getting married next September at a venue, but wedding insurance?
Well, think about if it gets canceled for some reason. COVID hits again and the whole thing gets canceled.
Because I've already paid for that venue, you're saying?
It'll protect you if you have to cancel it for some crazy reason.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
But even the venue, like your venue, required us to get like this type of insurance.
Right. Because I don't want to be held liable.
what
If somebody
kinda-
sues, I don't want
What kind of
it
insurance? Like, a normal insurance broker have that? Like carry
Most
that?
do. Most do.
Yeah, it's pretty common. And like there's so many websites nowadays. You can just literally go on, put in your information, hit pay. It's not expensive. Done deal.
It's a 1-day insurance policy?
It's a one-day
Exactly.
insurance policy. So I have a partnership
Wild.
site with a online insurance company, which makes it easier because it has all the requirements for my space. So I have a certain, parameters for like what the dollar amounts need to be. So aggregate 2 million, individual 1 million. Again, not flexible on that either. That's pretty standard for event insurance. So if they use the partnership site that I send, it already populates that information in there. So they're just putting in their personal info.
Have you had a need to use it or have your...
No.
Okay.
Not
good.
yet. This is what I'll say. I wish I knew about this back in 2016.
For
Because I
sure.
am in the market for another
All right.
space. I've been actively looking.
Awesome.
Where in, you want to stay in Connecticut, I assume?
I want to stay in Connecticut for now. I was actually intentionally looking east of the river.
Okay.
Just because there's this whole thing with people that live east don't want
Dude,
to come
I
west.
get
People
it.
west don't go
I
get
east.
it.
Yep.
It's a thing. It's the
a thing.
craziest thing.
It's a
It's like
thing.
literally 10 minutes, but
I grew up in Waterford, Connecticut, which is next
Okay.
to New London,
Yep.
southeastern Connecticut, and there's the Gold Star Bridge, which connects New London to Groton, and it might be the restaurant or bar that you want to go to, maybe like 5 minutes over the bridge. Like, it's over the bridge. I'm not gonna go.
I'm not doing the bridge.
So yeah, I'm just
That's like a mental thing.
It is a mental thing.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. So, in addition to being an investor, in addition to owning Warehouse 635, you are also a real estate agent.
yes.
Tell us about that.
So as an investor, I was working with another realtor buying and selling. And in my head, I'm like, I could do this myself. No offense to her, but I literally could have did it myself. So that was my real reason for getting a real estate license. I wanted to be able to look at houses when I wanted to look at them, buy them, sell them, keep the commission, and obviously increase my profit.
And get the listing on the end for the sale.
Exactly.
If you're flipping,
Exactly. Exactly. So somehow it turned into another career. I would say in my first year, I got it in 2018, my real estate license. I didn't do a significant amount the first few months. But then because I was trying to post more on social media, I made sure to let everyone know I got my real estate license. And now I have other investors from out of state, a lot of out of state folks that wanted to do what I was doing. So I'm helping them find houses. Obviously, you have friends and family that come to you. So the first full year, I did 20 closings.
Amazing.
Wow.
Right.
Good for you.
Which
That's
was
awesome.
insane.
First full
while
year?
I'm still working a full-time job
Yep.
and still flipping houses.
Can relate to that. Yep.
Wow.
So it was insane.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. I want to talk about like the most important thing to me at least. I don't know. This corporate dropout.
Oh yeah.
I mean, can we just talk about that? Like we both quit our jobs. Was it last year?
I was just thinking about this. I think I was 2021, March of 2021. So I had 22.
Yes, it
2022 is
And
my
I was
first full
the
year out
next
of the
year.
corporate
And
gig.
I was end of last year, which
Yeah.
is end of 2022. And you were 2022.
Yep.
We should all like cheers
Yeah,
or something.
cheers-
I don't
cheers
know.
to
cheers
being,
to that.
not
Corporate
college dropouts, but corporate
Yeah, not
dropouts.
college dropout.
So like, Ryan, you got to take a sip.
Oh,
You-
that's
it's
right.
like
That's
my
like
biggest-
that's
bad
like
luck.
my
That
biggest
is
pet
bad
peeve.
that's
luck.
bad luck. All right, sorry.
Take a sip after your cheers. You have to.
You do. My bad.
So corporate dropout.
Corporate dropout, like what, tell us about it. Like just break it down. Like you didn't like your job, you want to do real estate. Like what happened there?
So it was just more so about what I was passionate about. And I think during COVID, I'm sitting there, and I always worked from home for most of my career. I was sitting there wondering what's going to happen during COVID. And I was just telling you earlier, I was like, this can't be the end of my story. Working a corporate job in sales and not really doing what I'm passionate about.
That was like the light bulb moment.
That was the light bulb.
Yeah.
And so then I told myself, I didn't quit right away. I told myself, I'm going to save enough money so that I can carry myself for a year, like salary-wise, so that I would feel comfortable. I wanted to pay off all my debt, which, my school loans and things of that nature. And I wanted to have a year's salary saved. Yep. And until I do that, I wasn't going to leave. So, yeah, I left 2 years later.
So this is what I'm really curious about with your story. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of guts to quit your job and then do the warehouse 635
at the same time.
How, like, that's crazy. Like, you quit your job and now you're investing in this new business that, to be honest, like, you didn't know was going to work.
Right.
Like, what, like, the mindset there? It's just like, let's just dive in. I don't care. I'm going to make it happen.
Is that what it was? You have to have a little bit of crazy in you to do any of this. Like, you legit have to have a little bit of, like, I don't know, let's just do it.
You had a passion for it. I feel like anything you have a passion for, you put all your heart and soul into, you can make work.
Right. And you got to be smart about it. I'm a planner. I do my research. I did my market research before opening that space. I knew what was working. I knew what wasn't working. I talked to other people that were sort of in the same. And honestly, I treat it like an Airbnb. So a lot of people that I was talking to had Airbnbs. I wanted it to be a hands-off, passive income business with the event space.
I love that you called it that. That really makes it, that takes it to a different level for me, to be honest. That's because like things nowadays, like people like the hands-off. Like to be honest, like I don't want to go meet you somewhere and get like keys and like do this weird exchange.
I'm not doing it. I don't want to have to be there at all. I go once a week on Tuesdays to do tours. But if there's a week where I don't want to be there, I'll shut it down. Like, I'm not going to do a tour. Eventually, I want to transition to where I have virtual tours online. Because in my mind, I feel like, do you tour a hotel when you book a hotel room?
No.
Nope.
There's pictures. There's a video, maybe.
There's pictures. There's videos. That's enough. There's reviews.
A photographer we use for a lot of our listings or for leasing, for selling, whatever. He can do that 360 tour. So remind me to give you that contact.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that's definitely going to be the way to go. Maybe I do an open house once a month where people can see the space set up. But outside of that, I don't want to have to keep going every single week. But they do have electronic access to the space. And they go in I give it to them the morning of their event. They get a link. It's a QR code. They scan it on the lockbox at the door. The key drops out, similar to a smart lockbox we use. And they let themselves in. There are cameras in there, both inside and outside. I'm available by phone if there's any issues. And at the end of the night, they lock up.
Easy. And then do you have like a cleaning crew going next?
I have a wonderful cleaning person that comes in the morning after each event. And then I also have a laundry person. He's out of Bloomfield, but he comes and picks up and drops off. Yeah.
Makes it seem so easy. I mean, you have a system and you have processes. That's the most. It's scalable.
That's the only way that
it works.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I figure, okay, this is my first one. I'm going to really tighten things up. And then once I open number 2, number 3, number 4, it's going to be that much easier.
Yeah. So you don't manage really much of anything other than what you just described.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have. This is, I'm telling, when I say this, I'm not even exaggerating at all. We talk about this question I'm about to ask you every day, and we've been talking about it for probably the last year.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I'm sure you've come across it, but like you're doing a bunch of things,
right?
You're doing the warehouse.
It's literally the question I just wrote down.
We're the same wavelength. I'm telling you. So you're doing the warehouse 635. You've got the agent stuff. You're an investor now, right? I'm a little devil's advocate. You're doing a lot of things,
right?
I'm sure you've heard. People will tell you that it is better to focus on one thing, be rock solid on one thing.
100 miles deep versus 100 miles wide.
For example, like just do agent stuff. Crush it at the agent stuff, forget everything else, drop it all, and just focus on that. Why are you not doing that? Or like, what are your thoughts on that?
So for me personally, I get bored.
Simple.
Fair.
Simple.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
literally
right.
that
Fair,
simple.
fair.
I get very bored.
How do we come up
doing
with that?
Bored.
Fucking easy.
I get bored, and yeah, things do fall through the cracks when you're doing too many things. And when I have people come to me like, "Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that," it's like focus.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can multitask. Certain personalities that I come across, I know cannot. So I wouldn't suggest those personalities to try to take on too many things. I thrive doing more than one thing at a time.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, they're
just
all, obviously, the
related.
They're all
flipping and the
related,
agent are
yeah.
related. The warehouse 635, not so much,
You could
but you're an
argue it.
entrepreneur at the same
Yeah.
time.
Well, it's funny though, because somehow I would say every other conversation somehow it comes up that I do real estate.
Right.
I've gotten clients through Warehouse 635,
Of
which is pretty cool.
Hosting
great
B&I in
networking.
it, it's also a great way
That
to
too.
get.
I do a lot of
people.
networking events with the chamber, even with West Hartford Chamber of Commerce. They do events there as well. So, I mean, it's a great space to be able to utilize my investor background, utilize real estate background. I have realtors that rent the space to do events.
Yeah.
Greater Hartford Association of Realtors did a fundraising event.
Amazing.
So it all kind of intertwines.
That's awesome. What do you, how do you spend your days and what do you like most out of all the three businesses? You're flipping
Good question.
single family houses, you have warehouse 635, and you're also a successful real estate agent.
I love flipping.
Yeah?
That's just like my creative juices. Like I'm a fashion background. So doing flipping, and I do all my own staging. So I got a storage unit with a bunch of furniture.
Well, I know a good warehouse space if you
Yeah.
ever wanna-
So I think that one allows me to like soak in real estate, allows me to soak in my, creative side and design that just combines everything.
I literally wrote down staging. I'm like, you should do staging, like house staging. So,
Yeah.
but you already do. That's awesome.
So I was doing a lot for my clients. That was kind of an added benefit of working with me as an agent.
Yeah.
Which I would still do. I still have all the stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, so flipping is your kind of number one.
That's
yeah.
the number one. That's
All
the
right.
baby.
That's
So-
the baby. That's what started it all too.
Right.
You quit your job and you're
Correct.
flipping.
Correct.
So we've definitely done a bunch of flips, but I don't know if we've ever done a single.
Never done a
You always
single
do multi?
family flip.
Yeah, so-
Always multi. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
multis.
So like, it's a little bit different with multi, but like
Mm-hmm.
for single, are you like a huge advocate that it's important to stage? Because it's a couple $1,000 maybe, like
Makes
to
a huge
stage.
difference.
Makes a huge difference.
Especially like I tend to take walls down and do open concept. It's hard for people to walk into a space and visualize where their furniture is going to go when it's completely open.
No doubt.
So you have to tell them. And even if you don't stage the entire house, stage the living room, stage one bedroom, especially if it's a smaller bedroom. People are going to walk into it. It's going to feel even smaller with nothing in it. Put a child's bed in there, make it an office, something, so that people can see what they can do with it.
I foresee a new business venture for you, a new LLC being created about a staging business. I don't know, I'm
Real
just saying.
staging.
A lot of people bring that up.
I'm just saying. I don't
It's
know.
definitely a possibility.
Yeah, that definitely helps though. That's amazing that you can spend a couple $1,000 and like you're definitely gonna get the return, right? Like you're gonna get more in
I'll
your
say
sales price.
a couple of houses because I work a lot with my clients. I help manage other people's projects as well for a fee, and I compared to properties that I've staged versus ones that I haven't, or versus ones that my clients have not. They always take longer to sell. Always,
So it speeds up days on market.
yeah. I think it looks
A
better
lot
in
of people
photos.
just don't, to your point, they walk into a house and like, oh, I can't envision this at all. And other people like yourselves are like, oh, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
It's just,
That's-
it is
Depends
what
who's
it is.
walking in, and you want to satisfy the majority,
Yeah.
not the minority.
That's
right?
a lot of the problem with some of our spaces. It's like, and I'm not scared to say this because like you get it, but like, yeah, I mean, you walk down there to any like person who's not into real estate,
Right.
it's like, whoa, this is sort of a mess, like whatever, and like it's gonna scare them,
Right.
Like, but if you have the vision, it totally changes
Which we
everything.
did.
Yeah.
We had a virtual staging done. So
Oh,
in a
good.
picture, yeah.
Speaking of virtual staging, is crazy. Like I
I've
look
done
at
it a
pictures,
couple
I'm like,
times.
I can't tell.
You can't, to the point where MLS tells you have to
Oh, really?
indicate that it's virtual staging. And you have to post not just the virtual stage photo, but the photo of it empty. So you got to do both.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Because that's how good it is.
It
and
is
then
so
people feel
good these
deceived
days.
when they go to the house and there's nothing there.
All the furniture is available for sale right now.
Yeah.
It's all available. And what I thought of doing though with the virtual staging, like what if you got a little tripod in each room with a photo of the virtually staged room? Because it's one thing when you see it in MLS and you see it on Zillow or whatever site you're looking on. But then when you go in the space and it's totally empty, you kind of forget what you saw online. So put the picture in the space when people are going there for a tour.
Yeah, have like an easel of sorts, right? With a picture there.
Exactly.
That's smart.
Very smart.
You don't do that in any of your listings, right?
I do. I work with, as an agent, I work with mainly investors, flippers, investors, a lot of commercial. So not many single family homes.
Right.
But obviously I will work with single family homes, but no, I've never personally staged a house. But I mean, you're not, as a realtor, like, you're not staging it. You're hiring someone to do the staging for you.
Right.
And there is a cost associated with it. And sometimes it's not worth it. For me, since I'm doing it myself, it's my furniture. Like over time, I've collected furniture.
Exactly.
It just makes sense.
But you've offered that as a service to your clients.
Yeah, that's a couple $1,000s worth of value right there.
Definitely.
Super
Makes a huge
smart.
difference.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So where do you see yourself going forward? Are you going to focus on the event space, the venue? Obviously, you keep flipping. You always have that going on.
Right.
Build up the brokerage business more, kind of build a team, or, where's your head at?
So I'll definitely not build a team on real estate.
Okay.
That won't happen. But I definitely want to have more event spaces. My goal was to do 1 a year, up to 5 within Connecticut. I'd love to transition outside of Connecticut as well. In addition to that, I definitely have to get back to flipping. It is, to your point from earlier, it's hard to do it all at the same time.
It is.
So this past year, I really did focus on the space, really putting myself out there because I think networking is huge. It is key to like getting your business off the ground. I know that I wouldn't have gotten as much business as I have today if it wasn't for networking. Not even close.
Huge. Networking is huge.
So if you could give one piece of, because what you did takes guts.
Yeah.
Quitting your, you were smart about it. You saved up a year's salary.
Yeah.
And it took you a couple of years to do that, and then you quit. You went on, an adventure and opened up warehouse, 635, which is awesome. But if you could give one piece of advice to anyone who's kind of stuck in the rut of their mundane life, corporate world right now, that's like, this isn't the end for me as well. If they have that same mindset, what could you tell a lot of the listeners out there that are in that same kind of rut, how to take that leap forward, to quit their W-2 job, or maybe they're 1099, they just don't like what they do. But what was the mentality you had, and maybe you could share?
Well, one, I always stress save. Please don't leave
save.
your job without any money.
Yeah.
Because it is not cheap.
It's a recipe
to
for
open
disaster.
A business. Yeah, you will probably end up back at work, and that's, I'm assuming, that the goal. But my biggest piece of advice is, stay focused and don't give up. There are days, even this past week, I was like, I want to give up. I was just telling you, I was having issues with the town with certain things. I'm having issues with the space flooding from all the rain.
Yep.
And then the ceiling was leaking, and it's just like one after the other in the same week. And you do get to a point where it's like, is this even worth it? Like, why am I doing this? The same with flipping houses. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong. You've busted your budget. Is it worth it? And then,
time will tell, and you
time
prevail.
will tell.
Yeah.
And it always works out. Like, if you stay true to who you are and what you're doing, this is your passion. Like, don't forget, this was your passion. This is what you wanted. You wanted to get this far. Stay on track.
That's good.
Really good advice.
And ask for help.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Then that's me. Like, I don't ask for help.
Yeah,
so this is like advice for myself too.
Yeah.
Ask for help.
Leverage other people's expertise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Since a lot of our listeners are like investors, like yourself, but do you have rentals? Any rentals in your future? What's your outlook on that?
I did have a rental. I fell into the trap of 2020 and sold it. I got excited that, the property value went up so much. And I
saw
sold
the
it.
dang carrot.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I went for it. I'm a little upset that I did, though. That's one regret that I have. Okay. I wish I would have kept my property because I never had an opportunity to try out traveling nurses. So
midterm rentals.
Yeah, to do midterm rentals. And it's right by the hospital. It was a 3-floor townhouse, gorgeous townhouse, gated area. Right by the hospital.
Is this a property you had flipped and sold? Or?
No, I actually lived in it.
Oh, awesome.
And I house hacked.
Yeah.
So when I first bought it, I bought it in my late 20s. It was 3-bed, 3-bath, 3 floors, and a basement. And I ended up living on the top floor. It was like the master suite. I rented out the 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor. So they had their own bathroom, their own floor. That covered all my expenses.
Oh, love that. Love that.
Yeah. And so I did that for a couple of years, and then I moved to New York.
Not
just
so
like
much living
randomly.
for free.
Yeah.
Not at all living for free, but it was a wash. It ended up being a wash for what I was getting, renting it out completely, the townhouse, to what I was paying in New York. And that was one of the things, like, working from home, I was able to move just like randomly. There wasn't any rhyme or reason behind it. I just wanted to live in New York.
I love this. She's just like, you know what? I feel like going to New York. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I moved to Harlem. It was great. Lived there for a couple years, came back. I lived at my townhouse again for a little while, and then I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. So I rented it out completely and then sold it.
Oh.
Well, maybe on your next single family flip, instead of selling it, you just do a cash out refinance because the numbers should work out the same. If you're going to flip it and make a profit, there'll be enough margin to do the BRRRR strategy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a YouTube page where this podcast will be hosted on as well for all the listeners out there. And we talk about the BRRRR strategy kind of in depth. So,
which is a great strategy.
It's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's the best.
Most of my clients end up doing that, especially with the multifamilies.
So maybe instead of selling it, you just do a cash out refinance, tax-free money, and you keep it as a rental.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, what's funny was when I sold the townhouse, I was planning to buy a house to actually live in. And I'm obsessed with mid-century modern homes, which we don't have a lot of out here.
Right.
But 2 came on the market, like in 2021. I put offers on both. And my silly self put offers in as if I were an investor and not like readjusting my brain and putting it in like I'm actually going to be living here and I'm competing with all these other people that are going to be living there. Yep. So I got beat out on both offers. But one of them had a fully finished basement with a apartment, like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh, that's perfect.
So that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to rent it out. I was going to live on the main floor.
Almost like a house hack.
You just had to like overbid
Almost
it.
a house hack.
Yeah.
I should have, but I didn't. I went over though. I waived inspection.
Oh, you did?
I talked to my lender. He was open to helping me buy it through him. So I was able to put in a cash offer.
Oh, no kidding.
And I still got beat out by New Yorkers that came in.
Yeah.
It was like I want to say it was like $325. And the person who got it, they were at $400.
And it appraised? Or maybe
and
they were
did cash.
They were cash.
They did
So
cash, so no appraisal.
Cash.
Cash is king, baby.
Cash is king.
So now let me ask you this. We did a whole episode a few weeks back on due diligence. And so we buy properties to flip or do cash out refis on whatever. And part of the episode was due diligence. And we went back and forth. And are you in the camp that you would rather waive your inspection to get the better price? You can obviously still have a due diligence period, but you're waiving your inspection, so it's a very aggressive offer. Right. Or are you an as is for due dil only buyer where you're still gonna get a home inspection, but you're not waiving it altogether?
So for me personally, I waive inspections.
You do waive
only
inspections.
because I feel comfortable enough walking through a house and knowing what's going on.
9 flips later, you know what to look for.
I know what to look for, and for anything that I'm not sure of, I'll have my contractor, like I'll schedule another showing and have my contractor come out. Now, for my clients, I never suggest waive an inspection. If it's someone that I know is savvy enough to understand and be okay with it and they know what they're signing off on, then maybe. But for most regular home buyers that are going to be living in the property, this is their first home, I would never suggest it. For offers, I do talk to them about, okay, are you willing to buy it as is? So it's going to be home inspection for informational purposes only. But you're not going to go back and nickel and dime the seller on little repairs that need to get done. And even with FHA, that's an issue too. A lot of home buyers or home sellers don't necessarily want to take FHA because they might have to take on some repairs.
I'm selling my buddy's 2-family home in Newbury, Connecticut. It's an FHA buyer. I'm the listing agent, and we accepted an offer $15,000 above asking, and they waived their inspections, which is like the holy grail for any listing agent, right? But they're FHA, so sure enough, the appraisal comes in and there's a bunch of peeling paint. So he's even though we waived the inspections, we still have to repair all the peeling paint. So it's,
can we call that a strategy? Like waive inspections, but use FHA to like.
Yeah, I would not recommend.
Well, sometimes because I know that my client is going to be competing with conventional offers that aren't going to have that requirement. Sometimes I'll ask my clients, are you open to saying that you're going to spend X amount, up to $1,500 on any FHA appraisal requirements? So if there's peeling paint, if there's a missing handrail, you as the buyer, are you willing to take on that expense? So then it's kind of like an even playing field with a conventional offer.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you can do the FHA offer, but throw in the contract, like I'll spend X on anything that the FHA lender requires.
Correct.
That's good. I like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good strategy.
Wow. Well, I know you have to get to Boston. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If our listeners want to learn more about you, we'll share your notes. We'll share your information in the show notes. But can they find you on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah.
What else?
So they can
LinkedIn?
find my real estate page at Camille Hudson Realtor. And for Warehouse 635, it's at Warehouse 635. And the website is warehouse635.com.
Awesome. And just remember, we are available on YouTube for all those that want to watch it. We're on Spotify, Apple,
TikTok
now.
Oh.
Thank you to our
Yeah,
producers.
catch us on there.
That's fancy.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more content. And just remember, sky's the limit. Dive deep and invest in how you want to live. Thank you again, Camille.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you next time.